Hello everyone and welcome back to episode 257 of your favourite Formula 1 show. Yes, Jamie and I return, knowing Wheel is back. Sadly, this time around not in person, but I'm joined today by Corporate 183. How are we doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm hoping your cropping is cut off the fact I'm wearing a shirt with a nice
I will make sure it's
finance
not.
bro jumper over the top of it. But
Are you wearing a... Oh, you're being... And you don't even work in finance.
I do. That's my whole job.
Not really. You work... Are we going to dox who you work for?
We've done it in the past, I think. But yeah, back in my safe space, in my own house. The home fixture is back. Sad to not be with Matt again this week, but needs must. We've got Formula 1 to talk about, so it was an interesting race weekend. Maybe not the most interesting race, but yeah.
No, this is the thing with Baku, isn't it? Yeah, it can always be quite an interesting weekend, but that doesn't always guarantee that the race is going to be the interesting part. But, I mean, already on Friday, it looked like it could be quite competitive. McLaren, again, this didn't look like it was going to be a track that they'd be particularly OP. Red Bull seemed to kind of hit the ground running this weekend as well. Verstappen looked pretty good. And Ferrari as well, even on Friday, looked like they were going to be a team in the fight. But of course, you know, Ferrari being Ferrari, how many times this year we've seen them look good on a Friday afternoon basically to me means don't count on them. I am very quickly learning the rules of being a Ferrari fan.
You'll know better than me as the resident Ferrari fan, but didn't they take an upgrade off the car after Friday or change some settings that just made the car tons worse?
There was a combination of trying to take the car in a certain set of direction, trying to chase a lap time where they really couldn't, and then also an absolute stinker in qualifying as well, which didn't help either. I mean, the only other thing I've also got written down on the notes was that George Russell on Friday afternoon sounded like he was doing his best Mark Webber impression. And for those of you that don't know what that is, Google Mark Webber 2007 Japanese Grand Prix. You're welcome.
It's a very good team radio message.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
George did not sound well.
He was still going to get a podium that race, Webber, until Vettel took him out. So...
Yeah.
There you go.
Crazy. Absolutely crazy.
There we go.
So, I mean, heading into qualifying then, Jamie, that was a very awkward pause between the pair of us. I thought you were going to say something then,
no, I had
so
nothing to say.
thought I'd give you a second. Nothing to say. This is going to be a bad show if it's just me talking for 45 minutes. Qualifying, Jamie. Let's be fair. It was the most interesting, I think, is maybe too strong, but certainly the most bizarre part of the weekend, wasn't it? I don't know what it is about Baku, whether it's a combination of the wind, whether it's a combination of everybody knows that you've got to try and really maximise it. Track temperatures seem to be fluctuating massively. There was rumours that we could see a bit of rain later on in the session. It was just carnage.
Yeah, and I don't know what it is about Baku quality, like you say, because everyone was pretty capable of doing 51 laps in the race. Well, nearly everyone was capable. Without crashing into a wall. But then you stick them on the knife edge at qualifying and they can't help it. And it happened a few years ago in 22, I think it was.
22 or 23,
we
wasn't it?
We had 5 red flags. I think it was 22 because Ricciardo crashed in a McLaren, so it must have been that year. And then, 6 red flags across the session was absolutely ridiculous. And it made the session longer than the race. It was, nearly 2 hours long.
It made qualifying longer than any race we've had this year, including Australia back at the start of the season.
Yeah, mental. But the first red flag was Alex Albon. I did see that. I was coming back from a football match in the morning, so I missed the beginning of qualifying because it was quite early. Albon was out at turn 1, wasn't he? Clipped the inside wall.
Yeah. He said, obviously, the first time, because he was the first car on a run originally, got into turn 1, no grip. Came back round again to go for another run, got into turn 1, loads of grip. So it was quite clear as well, as the session went on, that getting cars on the track, especially obviously because there were so many interruptions, that the track was ramping up quite a lot and then falling away very quickly as well, which of course would prove very, very useful later on in the session. To have known that. But yeah, Albon obviously binned it down at turn 1. Immediately brings out the red flag because he's completely snapped the left-hand side suspension. Later on in the session, Hulkenberg would decide to bin it down at turn 4. Luckily, though, for him, unlike in Brazil last year, he was able to keep the car going under his own steam. So basically, if you take a snapshot of that Sauber on the way back to the pit lane, it looks like the 2014 Caterham, which is rather impressive.
I didn't notice that. I will have to go and look because I missed that red flag, but I caught the end of Q1 on the radio and then caught the rest of the session on the TV. So yeah, it was a shame, especially for Albon, because the Williams looked pretty quick all weekend.
It looked very quick here.
I don't think the Saubers were up to very much, to be honest.
No, no.
Especially not troubling the Q3 in the points like they have been in
especially not
races.
Hulkenberg, because as we discussed last week, he's pretty terrible at Baku.
He is. He is pretty bad at Baku, but yeah, we threw it now. And he's pretty good at Singapore, so we'll see.
Fair enough. But yeah, obviously Hulkenberg would bin it down at turn 4. That would then bring out a second red flag, just because there was a bit of debris on the circuit, obviously most of his front wing. He was very, very lucky, though, that he didn't snap the suspension, to be honest. Just watching that back, you're like, oh, that could have easily kind of... He kind of bounced off of it, as opposed to dug into the wall.
You've seen worse crashes where people have carried on, though, haven't you? My mind goes
but you've also seen smaller crashes where people haven't.
Yeah,
it's
but
a really odd one, isn't it?
He went square on. I do remember Raikkonen in Kota
square.
15 in the race.
Where
he basically went flying into a barrier quite quickly, not square on, and then somehow just reversed out of it as if nothing had happened.
Yeah,
and he lost
that's
Kimi
Raikkonen for you. He's a rally god.
Yeah.
And then right towards the end of the session, of course, as he gets towards crunch time, again, where obviously we get cars out, they put a bit of grip down, build up a little bit of temperature in the circuit, then we get a red flag. It basically means everybody was going back out and the track was pretty much back to where it was at the start of the session. Gasly would then decide to run wide down at turn 4, keep it out of the wall. So in sympathy, Franco Colapinto decided to bin it right next to him. And if that isn't the most Alpine thing in the world, both your cars making a mistake at the same corner, I don't know what is.
Yeah. I'm surprised Colapinto got away with that without yellow flag infringements. I don't think the flags were technically out yet.
They weren't there yet.
It's probably what saved him. But the fact you've got a car down the escape road with the brake light flashing, flipping heck. Can't get my words out this morning. Colapinto just drove himself into the wall in sympathy. And can you imagine what Flavio Briatore was thinking at that point?
Well, apparently there was a camera shot to Flavio Briatore, and it was he's gone. Which either is he's out of the session, or, of course, as was discussed pre-weekend, that apparently now between the Alpine team, it's between him or Paul Aaron for next season. Whether it meant that will only... The thing is, what I don't get now with this, and we're going on a little bit of a tangent here, is if you want to get Paul Aaron in, surely you get him in before the end of the season to see if you actually want to keep him there for next year.
We might as well. And to be honest, Flavio says a lot of things.
He does. He says far too much, I would argue.
I feel like even if in the media right now he's saying it's between Colapinto and Aaron, if
it'll end up being Tsunoda.
If a Yuki Tsunoda becomes available, I think they'd probably go Yuki Tsunoda, to be honest.
Yeah.
Even Liam Lawson, I think, if he comes available, I think you'd rather Lawson than Colapinto or Paul Aaron, to be honest.
Yeah. No, exactly. So yeah, that would bring out obviously our third red flag in Q1. So it would mean that Colapinto, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Gasly, and Albon all out. So obviously 4 cars that binned it, and Esteban Ocon, and then Esteban Ocon will get disqualified anyway at the end of qualifying there for a technical infringement on that car. Heading out though into Q2, you think, maybe now things have calmed down a bit. We'll kind of get some good smooth running. Ollie Behrman, who of course was one of the drivers I'd hyped up coming into this weekend, and then immediately tags the wall at turn 2. Easily the smallest crash of the bunch, but he did still bend the rear suspension out of shape and couldn't continue.
Yeah. And why was that a red flag? Because there wasn't even much debris.
Okay, he did have to stop on track. He was just down the wall of turn 2. I believe Haas told him to shut off.
He was crabbing all over the place, wasn't he? He was driving sideways. A bit like Norris in practice, to be honest. Because he managed to find a wall there, didn't he? So, yeah, not the best for Behrman. Especially as, again, in practice, the Haas looked pretty quick. It was an early running Q2. It wasn't like he was going full send. So, though I guess when there's so many red flags, every lap is full send because you never know.
Every lap as well is a step into the unknown again, isn't it? Is the problem.
Yeah, it was interesting. But Behrman, did he have a lap on the board? I don't think he did by that point.
No, he didn't. No.
So it's going to definitely be out in Q2. and that was our fourth red flag.
It was our fourth red flag. They're already talking about the record. Yeah. They're already discussing the record then at that point. If we get one more red flag, we'll tie the record from a few years ago. I mean, then Ferrari, of course, it wouldn't be a qualifying session like Ferrari doing a Ferrari. Everybody out there is running laps, or running quicker laps on the medium. Everybody's saying they think now in Q2 the medium was the tyre to have. Because, again, where the track was moving around so much, it was kind of undecided whether the soft or the medium was the way to go. So you see, I think it was George Russell went fastest on a medium, quicker than the McLarens went on a soft. So, of course, everybody's like, right, we're going to go out on the medium for the final run. So, of course, Ferrari decided to leave Lewis on softs for the final run and he can't do anything. Make that make sense.
He still should have done a bit more than he did, though, realistically.
No one had any pace on the soft tyre. I admit, like, it wasn't his best lap in the world ever or anything like that, but he was completely shafted because they wanted to keep one driver with a set of mediums and one with a set of softs for Q3, rather than just picking the quick tyre at the time.
Yeah, you can understand why Ferrari made that call, though, because...
Can you? I can't.
But if Hamilton does get to Q3, using his medium set that he's got left, obviously going to Q3 unlocks a new set of softs for everyone to use, in the theory that everyone's going to go quicker on the softs at the end. In Baku, the opposite is true. You don't really want the soft tyres for a final Q3 run. So if he uses the mediums in Q2, and then all he's got is soft tyres for Q3, he's going to qualify 10th or 9th anyway. So
yeah.
if they'd have saved those mediums, if he actually put a very good lap in and got through, because was he 11th? Yeah, or 12th?
No, 12th. He was about half second away though, because it was very tight.
But he was
in the top
up
10.
at the end of sector 2, and then just somehow just give him a slipstream or something. You know, if you're going to put him out on softs,
he was up by next to nothing.
At least give him a hand. Then it was poor from Lewis, but that's his. Is it a fifth failure to make Q3?
Yeah, fifth failure to make Q3.
And a driver who's moved teams who doesn't have a podium yet in 2025. Unlike 3 drivers now who are making their debut with new teams, 2 have got podium finishes.
Yeah.
Including the guy Ferrari kicked out for him. Spoilers.
Exactly, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Although, to be fair, I think by the end of this weekend, it looked like Williams had a quicker car than Ferrari, which is quite funny. Q3, though, I mean, things are starting to get really nervous now, aren't they? We're already running over by like 45 minutes. My partner, Max212, had actually gone out at the start of qualifying because she was meeting up with a friend. And she texted me at like 2:30, I want to say. So like an hour and a half after qualifying started, theoretically half an hour after it should have ended, going, "You never text me qualifying results." And I just texted back going, "Q3 hasn't even started yet." And like, you would hate this session because red flags annoy her so much, it's hilarious.
Well, they annoy everyone. They're a bit boring.
They are a bit boring.
Nothing happens.
It wouldn't be a Q3 though, Jamie, or a Baku session without Charles Leclerc doing one thing. Taking pole position or bidding it.
That's so true.
And of course, this time round, 5 poles in a row, not going to happen because Leclerc stacked it at turn 15 for, I believe, the 2nd or 3rd time in his career.
I think only the 2nd in real life. Once was on a game, wasn't it? And then he made a joke about it. But that is true.
No, you're thinking of the castle.
Oh, I am, yes.
I think, yeah.
But every year since he was at Sauber, so every year he's driven a Ferrari on Baku, he's either crashed it or got pole.
Which is quite an impressive tally.
Yeah.
So clearly I think he got into Q3, realised he wasn't getting pole and just decided he'd stack it.
He wasn't too far off pole in the Q2, was he? He could have been up there with a bit of luck. Especially with how mental
with a bit
Q3
of luck, with a
was.
bit of skill, perhaps. I mean, Ferrari are going to make me go bold by the end of the year. That's what I'm getting nervous about. So yeah, that would bring out red flag number 5. So we have now officially matched the record for most red flags in a session. But the most interesting bit about this was the fact that when that red flag came out, only Sainz, Lawson, and Hadjar had actually been able to get a lap in beforehand. So it was kind of now immediately that everybody, again, needed to get back out there quite quickly and get on with it. And then Oscar Piastri, seemingly out of nowhere, decided to bin it down at turn 3. Completely ripped off that front right-hand side of that car. And that was a massive shunt from a driver that we don't expect to make massive mistakes.
Yeah, and you know what? I mean, we'll comment to it later more, but we spoke a little bit last week. And I remember speaking a lot earlier in the season when Verstappen was kind of still in the fight after like Imola time. these McLaren drivers, neither of them have really gone toe-to-toe in a championship yet, all the way to the end. Norris got, a little bit close last year, probably should have.
There was never really a chance last year,
exactly.
though, still.
Whereas this year, they are going to both have to deal with championship pressure and driving under the spotlight of championship positions.
The eyes of the world.
Exactly. And Piastri didn't do that very well in Baku. I think he was slightly overconfident, to be honest. If you going into the race weekend, everyone thought, well, Piastri won it last year. Norris was pretty rubbish last year. The car's clearly better this year than it was last year.
Norris wasn't rubbish last year. He just got completely screwed over in his defence. I won't normally defend Lando Norris, but he was unlucky.
Yeah, but Piastri did the better of him. Even before that, I think.
That's because Lando ended up out in Q1.
Yeah, well, put a better banker in then.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so I wonder if Piastri came into it almost his head's already in Singapore, being like, how am I going to beat Norris there? And Baku will be an easy one. And then it absolutely wasn't, and he was just off it all weekend, really. And
I mean, he'd been up in the fight in Q1 and Q2.
Yeah.
It wasn't a million miles up or anything like that.
Dropping major mistakes is something we don't often see at all from Piastri. So,
well, here's a fun fact for you, Jamie. In his entire car racing career, apparently that is the first time ever, whether an accident by himself or in an accident with other cars, that Oscar Piastri has taken the entire corner off a car, so wheel and suspension gone. Obviously, He hasn't had the longest junior career either, because obviously he blitzed up through the junior ranks. But I would guess that's in about 10 years worth of car racing. He has never taken the entire corner off a car.
That is mental. A lot of drivers on the road have done that in less than 10 years. So
have they?
Well, I've never crashed my car. I don't know about you, but
I never have. No.
There you go. Maybe we should be in the McLaren next race.
we could. Like I said in a chat that you're in as well. If you timed it right, I could have got round in my road car and qualified about P7. I think in the end.
Well,
just because of how many red flags there were.
Because at this point, Piastri's red flag was perfectly timed for Carlos Sainz, who was on provisional pole, because Verstappen was the lead car on the second runs and was coming up to the line to finish his lap as the red flag was called. So it basically wasted 3 minutes. Nobody got a lap in.
Yeah.
And it gave us 3.5 minutes left after that.
Just over, yeah. And which, to be fair, at the time, I said Carlos Sainz needs to make sure he gets to the front of the queue and then locks up into turn 1.
Which is
so
almost
nobody else can get a run in.
He did try it. He was going very slowly on pit exit and tried to block George Russell. Did you see that?
Yeah, but he wasn't first out though, was he?
No, he wasn't.
Anyway.
Yeah, but I mean,
but yeah,
Sainz,
see, that mistake.
Or if Albon was in Q3, if he hadn't crashed in 2 hours ago,
yeah,
maybe they could have just told Albon to stick it in a wall with, a minute and a half gone on the clock, and then the session's ended. Signs from the V carbs would have been it.
Yeah, well, I still think that's what Alpine were trying to do in Q1, except for both drivers got told to be the Nelson Piquet Jr. in that scenario.
And they were both out anyway.
And they were both out in Q1 because of it. I mean, yeah, obviously, by the time we got round, though, obviously for that final run, like we said, track had been evolving and then devolving so much throughout the course of the session. There was also little spits of rain coming down in certain areas that weren't affecting it much, but I think was certainly making it quite nervous for drivers. I think McLaren kind of got so desperate to try and make sure that Lando got a lap in, so he started up the order, that he basically acted as a circuit sweeper for everybody else. He almost binned it down at turn 15 again, which would have been hilarious. But ultimately, he basically cleaned up the track for everybody else behind him. And that meant that the only driver left running in the final part of Q3 that went slower than him was Isaac Hadjar, who made an even bigger mistake. So Norris, with Oscar Piastri in the wall and a huge opportunity to capitalise, ended up 7th.
Yeah. And I feel for McLaren in this situation, really, because if you've got 3 minutes left and there's still, 8 cars left to run in Q3, the sensible thing to do is to send your car first, because you are most likely to get your lap in if you go first, because anyone behind you crashes, you either get caught in yellow flags or it's a red flag. So I can totally see why they sent him first, but the track was, I don't know if it was marginally better. I think Norris he didn't do a great job. He did bottle it as well.
He made a mistake down at turn 15, but he didn't have the speed either.
I don't think
when you look at it,
I don't think he was getting in with the top 3, but he should have at least been P4 despite going
Well,
first.
my favourite bit about this is, had he binned it at turn 15, because of obviously the way they have to order the grid because of red flags and stuff, he would have qualified higher.
Yeah.
He would have ended up 5th on the grid.
Why?
Because
how
obviously
would
it would have been Max
dis-
in 4th.
How would it have been decided?
So obviously the way it shows up on the timing tower is it's just based on driver number. So if you're coming into Formula 1 as a rookie next year, pick the lowest number you can. Because at Baku, you might... Exactly. Or Logan Sargent. And then what I assume actually would have done is based it on Q2 times.
Probably. I thought it was to do with when they left the
careers.
pit lane and then they jump to the top when they leave the pits. But
it is, but obviously if someone goes out then... I think it might actually be done in championship order, from last year.
Right.
So obviously it basically just means that obviously if you have Max Verstappen, you rocket up to obviously the top of the board, and then exactly. If you're Lando Norris, you go back out, you end up going straight up to P4. If Max comes out behind you, he then goes up to P4 instead. I would assume they would have just based it on Q2 times behind Sainz and those V carbs, which was gutting for Sainz and Williams, because what a story that would have been if he'd taken pole. But it was Verstappen in the end.
Getting pole in Williams isn't for everyone, to be fair.
No.
Only Nico Hülkenberg, Felipe Massa, Pastor Maldonado. The three goats
and
of Formula 1.
Countless others. And countless... You're going to be one of those new Williams fans.
In the last 15 years, when Williams have been rubbish.
Williams were rubbish for quite a few years before that as well, but I see what you mean.
They were. But Max Verstappen, despite all the chaos going on all around him, and championship rivals in the wall, well, not even rivals, just championship protagonists.
He said it.
Championship protagonists in the wall in a faster car. And then he's just keeping his head and dropping half a second on Carlos Sainz. And it was unbelievable stuff. Yeah, I know, but Norris didn't
Was it
drop.
unbelievable, or was it once every car that was a rival went out, it was kind of inevitable? Don't get me wrong, still did a very good job to get the lap in.
It's just
saying it's
there.
Unbelievable and came out of nowhere.
I mean, it didn't come out of nowhere. He definitely should be putting it on pole in the circumstances. But so should Lando Norris, and so should Oscar Piastri, and they both found a wall.
Yeah.
And Max has done this many times before, and it's a circuit. He's not fantastic on Baku, to be honest, but
it's not been a circuit where he's had a particularly good track record. But it does now mean he's had the most pole positions of anybody this year,
which is
kind of insane,
considering how good that McLaren's been compared to the Red Bull. But I guess they take poles.
Not so much over one lap, but yeah.
Yeah, Max is the best driver of the season. I'm spoiling the end of season review. Max is my top driver, regardless what happens. Maybe I would change it if he crashes out of every race from now
on. You wouldn't. You're still absolutely going to fly.
I was very pleased for Max, because as well with the McLaren's 7th and 9th.
It was a huge opportunity, isn't it?
Yeah, and to be honest, Norris had a huge opportunity too to close on the 31 points, and putting it one row in front of Piastri. Suddenly is like, what on earth? Not good from Norris.
Between them. No, it would say Verstappen on pole, though, like we said, just ahead of Carlos Sainz. Liam Lawson as well. Now his fight for a seat is alive. Absolutely. I know Hadjar made a mistake, but absolutely dunked on him and ended up P3. Antonelli out qualifying the very sick George Russell. With Tsunoda, to be fair, a little bit under the radar in that second Red Bull, but his best ever grid slot for Red Bull as well, up in 6th, just ahead of Norris, Hadjar, Piastri, and Charles Leclerc.
Tsunoda,
and that brings
Tsunoda
us
was
then,
still
Jamie.
A second off Max, by the way, but
Tsunoda was still a second off Max, but
P6.
With the way that session ended up, being a second off is actually probably pretty good going for Yuki.
Well, it's faster than Lando Norris. So.
Exactly. Let's get into the race, though, Jamie. To be fair, there isn't as much to talk about.
No.
But it was huge on lap 1.
Oh, lap 1, Oscar Piastri needs to turn off the podcast now if he's listening, because that was horrendous from him. And immediately jumps the start, first mistake. Causes Alonso to jump the start too, which is not a mistake, but
quite funny.
Quite funny,
to be honest.
Drops.
I'm sure Fernando was on for the best race of his career had he not.
Probably
done
was.
That.
Did you see that he did an interview where he talked about the best race of his career recently?
He said it was like Malaysia 2012 or something,
2010,
where he came like 5th. Malaysia. It was such an anomalous result.
He actually DNF'd.
He was basically able to blip the throttle. Did he?
It was Malaysia 2010. He had an engine failure with a few laps to go, running in like 7th. And that was the best race of his career. So, I mean, next week you ask him, he'll tell you a different race, I'm sure. But
you'll be Baku last weekend.
Yes, Piastri drops the P20 immediately. At which point he's obviously scrambling because he's like, flipping it, what have I done? And then, a few corners later, the second time he's found the wall. You say it took him 10 years in single-seaters to find the wall once.
Exactly, yeah.
It took him a day to find it again. And then does it
twice in a weekend. You're crazy. Absolutely crazy. Not find the wall, rip off the corner of the car, to be fair, which is slightly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it's that hilarious thing, isn't it? Because obviously at the start of the Grand Prix, through those first couple of corners, you're trying to look out for certain drivers. And I know both myself and Max212 were there going, I've only seen one McLaren. Where's Oscar gone? And then suddenly he's at the back of the field, and you got no idea what he's done. And then the next thing you know, you make it through the next few corners, and obviously you're seeing, I think it was Ocon and Gasly, wasn't it, made contact on like the short run parallel to the start-finish straight. Mm-hmm. And you're kind of seeing everybody coming through there, and then suddenly no McLaren at all, and you're there going, what has he done? And then it just cuts to him in the wall.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you're Lando Norris at that point, you're thinking, here we go. If he can even get towards the podium places, 15 points out of 31 is massive for a championship fight. Because Piastri doesn't make mistakes. He really, from his career so far, it's rare to have an opportunity like this. So for Lando Norris, you're thinking, running, I think, 8th at that point, he definitely dropped behind Hadjar at the start.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got to really be like, at minimum, let's get ahead of the midfield cars. Maybe Russell beats me, he's a bit higher. But you've got to be getting towards the podium places, like top 4.
You'd think so, wouldn't you? You'd absolutely think so. I mean, for Piastri, though, it was kind of one of those things, wasn't it, where completely messed up the start, and you just think, if you have to look back, if he loses this championship now, you will look back at that moment and Australia and go, that's obviously where this world
Australia
championship
less
lost.
So, I think.
But he still lost a lot of points there.
He did, but the problem, both McLarens went off, and it was very situational, whereas this was a complete mess up.
Oh, I'm not arguing against that either, but you still will look back and go, those were the two opportunities where huge points were lost over the course of the campaign.
And it really wasn't.
Yeah,
wasn't
it was. It was just everybody else, wasn't it, in the podium celebration room at the end of the race. They were all kind of saying, lap 1, it was like ice out there. And I think, of course, it's all well and good going, well, obviously nobody else binned it, but it was kind of everybody else was just fighting to survive. And I think Oscar was literally there going, there's an opportunity here. Oh, I'm in the wall. That's a problem.
Yeah, it was scrambling, wasn't it? You could see he felt like he was on the ropes. He's P20, he's championship leader. He needs to get...
But it's that... It's the bizarre thing as well, isn't it? Of if you jump the start, nobody ever does it, but your best thing is just to then go. You're already getting the penalty. You may as well claim the places with it. But obviously everybody then panics and waits.
I guess the second best thing to do is wait for the lights to go out properly. Because if he doesn't go beyond his box, he doesn't get a penalty. So
he already had, quite clearly. I guess,
but imagine how hard it is to think clearly in that moment.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've done it on iRacing before.
Yeah, which is... not the same level of pressure as championship leader at Baku.
Well, I've been in some intense iRacing battles before.
But I agree with you. The best thing to do is the Pastor Maldonado Spa 2012, where you just drive off and take the penalty.
Yeah, saved his race.
Yeah, it did. He was the one not causing the crash for a change. It was a shocking start to the race for Oscar Piastri. And it obviously meant McLaren were unlikely to win the championship, the constructors at that point, so that'll have to wait until Singapore.
Yeah.
It wasn't too long ago you were talking about 1,000 points for McLaren.
I was just saying I didn't think it was going to happen. I was just saying it was mathematically possible. Always towards the end of the season, you're going to see some bottles premium. And to be fair, McLaren also, I will go out now on a limb and say, haven't had the fastest car these last 2 weekends. That Red Bull, they have definitely taken a leap forward with it.
They should have won this race in Baku, McLaren.
They could have won this race in Baku. I will say that. Should have is a different conversation.
Red Bull just execute better because they're more experienced.
Well, Red Bull also can gamble it, can't they? They've got very little to lose and a huge amount to gain at this stage.
And they're not messing about with stupid rules between drivers as well.
No, exactly. Yeah, there's no teddy bear racing. I mean, after that lap 1 though, Jamie, wasn't it? Apart from... It basically just turned into a pretty quintessential ground effect race, didn't it? Of cars can stick close together, and it seems to me we either get one of two outcomes with ground effect races. Cars can stick close together, and they just wait for the DRS zone to go past, or cars can stick close together, and they've shortened the DRS zone by too much, and nobody can do anything. Sadly, this race fell into the latter.
Not that sad for the likes of Carlos Sainz.
No.
But yeah, Liam Lawson was basically being a train the whole time, and it worked pretty well because it was the top three were chilling in the top three for a long time. Eventually, Lawson stops. Antonelli stops a couple laps earlier and then overtakes him when he comes out the pits. Russell goes super long on hards, so does Verstappen. Those two clearly have the fastest pace of anyone in the top five, so they've just driven off. And it was pretty clear quite early on that they were going to be the 1-2. And yeah, Lawson did an absolute job on everyone. And Antonelli got into fourth, but then couldn't really pressure Sainz that much. Tsunoda was right behind Lawson. And yeah, then you had, towards the end, you had a pretty decent train, didn't you? After Norris was going to jump a lot of them and then had another slow stop. Which, maybe the championship pressure is getting to the mechanics as well. Because that's 2 in a row for Lando.
The thing is, as well, of course, with that slow stop is he can't let nobody can just let him by then. He must have been there going, well, surely if they didn't have a slow stop, they would have let me through.
Yeah, sadly, he's not racing his wet wipe teammate this time because he's out of the race.
I'm sure Oscar Piastri, if he loses his championship now by less than 6 points,
oh yeah,
will look back at Monza.
What am I doing? Although, you can also look at Zandvoort and see 18 points gained. So
yeah, but that wasn't his fault.
No.
Or was it?
Was it? Did he have a button in his car where he pressed it and it just made Norris's car blow up? But yeah, we had a little bit of beef. The Mercedes, which inside information tells me the Mercedes drivers do not get on.
What inside information have you got?
While I was at Monza, they didn't do their fan zone interview together. And the rumor
is that not because Kimi is home race, so they kind of want to put a bit more of a spotlight on him?
It's not the first time in the fan zone.
Okay. Was it also Silverstone?
It could have been. I think these Mercedes. Have you ever seen them actually look nice to each other, Russell and Antonelli? Even in Canada, they were very hands-offish. I think there's a real beef. I think Russell's salty that Antonelli got into Mercedes as a rookie when he had to spend 3 years at Williams.
I'm sure there probably is a little bit.
And then
I think as well, for George Russell, it's very odd kind of being the team leader, isn't it?
Exactly. And especially the team leader when he's getting shoved off at the exit of turn 1 on the restart and then losing the place to Tsunoda. That was a bit rude from Antonelli.
Perhaps that's a separate topic we need to talk about later on in the week.
We can
dive into. We want to try and look at doing some more random shorter episodes of the podcast. So that might have to be another proper full on topic, because that's a really interesting point you've raised, which I like the sound of. Yeah, so like we said, obviously Antonelli, getting the elbows out against George early on, but it did. I mean, to be fair, then afterwards, Antonelli pit didn't need to get out of George's way,
and then
George just extended.
Russell gapped him on old hards versus new hards. So that was
but to be fair, Antonelli was still stuck behind Lawson.
Not for long, only a few laps.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
But yeah, the top 3 was always going to be the top 3 from about lap 20, and so it was. Carlos Sainz. Sorry, spoiler, we've jumped 50 laps ahead. Max Verstappen wins.
Nothing happened.
Literally.
What can we spoil?
Norris's slow stop was funny. He drops behind. He could have possibly been ahead of the Lawson-Tsunoda battle. It would have been tight.
I think he was going to get in it and then probably still not be able to do much.
But had he got ahead of Lawson and you're thinking, okay, new hards, can he catch Antonelli? Can he catch Sainz possibly? And then the slow stop just put pace down. He was behind Leclerc briefly, overtook Leclerc, and then chilled in a DRS train in 7th. And he actually gained fewer points on Piastri than he would have done if it was 1-2.
Yeah, insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah, big shame. Well,
Ferrari had a hilarious one as well, right at the end.
Did they swap them back? I know they swapped Hamilton and Leclerc.
Lewis, I don't know whether he did it on purpose or not, but he slowed down too late. I don't know whether you got confused between where the start line and the finish line are different here.
Come on, he knows where the
start
line is.
A bit like at Imola. No, but this is the thing with these things. Like, Lewis is bizarre with certain stuff, because I remember getting so fed up with him every year at Suzuka. This is at a random point. Every year at Suzuka, he will not take the short run back to the line in qualifying. And stuff like that. It's just all those little pieces.
Well, he's not done a track walk since 2007, has he? So
exactly, yeah. I don't think. Yeah, it's just really odd, like the kind of minute little things that Lewis just doesn't either notice or care about.
He forgets things so quickly as well in terms of races. You remember when he was interviewing Vettel, or they were in an interview, and they were like, what's your favourite overtake of the year? I think it was 2017. And Lewis was like, to be honest, I can't remember any of them.
No.
But yeah, he's what a shame he's beaten his teammate at his best track.
I know.
Yeah.
After Leclerc let him by.
Yes,
to be
exactly.
Fair. It was one of those ones where let him by. If he can make overtakes, he'll make overtakes. If he can't, he'll let you back through. And then proceed not to let him back through. Well, yeah, exactly. Hilariously interesting, I think we'll call it, communication.
Exactly. Do you want your
Ferrari.
quiz?
I do want my quiz. I didn't think we had enough time for a quiz, but I'm down for a quiz.
My call is I can join at 5 past. We'll keep it on.
Okay.
That's why we're rushing, by the way, because I've got work commitments. But don't tell my boss.
Jamie shows up to record about 15 minutes late. It's very frustrating.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. Carlos Sainz scored his third different team's podium in his Formula 1 career. Obviously, with McLaren and Ferrari, and now Williams.
Yeah.
Since 2000, there have been 9 other drivers, so Sainz and 9 more, who have scored podiums for 3 or more different teams. And by different teams, a rebrand
You're
doesn't
not talking
count.
about like a Racing Point to an Aston Martin.
I'm not, but a change of ownership does count.
Oh.
So there's 9 more, and you've got. I'll give you a minute. And your time starts
Rubens
now.
Barrichello?
Yes.
Trying to think. Fernando Alonso.
Yes.
Sergio Perez.
Yep.
Daniel Ricciardo.
Correct.
Sebastian Vettel.
Yep. He actually won with 3 different teams. The only one.
He did, yeah.
34 seconds. You're doing well. 4 more.
Podiums. No, Felipe Massa didn't. Jenson Button.
Correct. 3 more.
I assume Hamilton. Hamilton doesn't count because of the sprint.
No, he doesn't count.
Lance Stroll.
No.
I assume because of the weird rule you said about a change of ownership. Technically, that should.
No, he's only got. He hasn't got an Aston Martin podium.
Oh yeah, God, he hasn't, has he? Still, that's shocking.
5 seconds.
Yuki Tsunoda, no.
And he's never got any podiums. All right, time's up.
No, he hasn't, has he? I can definitely get these.
Yeah, you totally can. Yeah.
Kimi Räikkönen.
Yep, that's.
Yeah.
You missed 3, so you got what 6 out of 9.
So Kimi Räikkönen.
Räikkönen's one. Yeah.
Yep. Other ones. Grosjean didn't.
No. You ain't even got with Lotus. Only one team.
No. Trying to think. Kevin Magnussen only ever got 1.
I could give it away, but
I'm sure you could. That would just be giving me the answer.
Well, no, I could say I have a connection with both these drivers.
Oh. Gasly? No.
No.
You have a connection with both these drivers? I could get them with enough time. Just tell me. We haven't got enough time.
Fisichella.
Of course.
With Jordan, Renault, and Force India.
And then Force India. Yeah.
And Sauber actually early on.
Yeah.
And Nick Heidfeld.
I was going to say Quick Nick, but I just couldn't remember where he.
Williams, BMW, and
Renault.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
There you go. Carlos Sainz joins a long list of. Alain Prost actually is the only other driver to get podiums with Ferrari, McLaren, and Williams, which is quite fun.
Yeah. No, it's very good going. Very good going by Carlos Sainz.
Shall we rattle through the rest of things before I get sacked?
Yes. Driver of the day, Jamie183. I think we know who you're going to say.
Sainz.
Oh, that's not what I thought you were going to say, to be honest. But you know what? I'll either say Carlos Sainz. I think George Russell deserves a shout out because even coming into Sunday, he still looked pretty ill. That was, I think, why they didn't do their fan stuff together this weekend. By the way.
Oh, was it? That's why they did it in Monza as well. And Spa and Zandvoort.
Fair enough. But that's like why George didn't show up to the drivers' meeting and stuff on Thursday as well, because obviously he didn't want to get everybody else ill.
Well, it'd be a great strategy. He'd go win Singapore then.
It would. Liam Lawson as well, I think, deserves definitely a shout out. Shame he didn't quite get the high profile result that Hadjar did at Zandvoort, but was still very good. And obviously Max Verstappen. You can't not get a shout-out with getting a Grand Slam, can you?
Wasn't it a Grand Chelem again?
A Grand Chelem, yeah. So I believe he's the first driver ever to get one in 5 consecutive seasons.
And
I'm pretty certain the only...
Oh, someone else has got back-to-back before. Because he got it in Monza as well.
No, he didn't. He didn't lead every lap.
Oh, yeah, true. Never mind.
So, yeah, I believe the only reason why Jim Clark didn't get one in 5 consecutive seasons is because he did, in fact, die.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so fair play, Max Verstappen.
Mad that Clark had 9 in like 65 races or something.
Yeah, I know. Clark was just nuts, wasn't he? Predictions recap, Jamie183. I don't feel confident.
Well, neither of us obviously saw a Carlos Sainz George Russell podium coming.
No.
Actually, maybe you did see a Russell podium. No, you didn't. Okay. You said Norris pole. Nope.
Yeah.
Norris win. Nope. Piastri second. Nope.
No.
Charles Leclerc third. Nope.
No. So I got nil points this weekend.
I said Piastri win. Piastri pole. No. Piastri win. No. Norris second. No. Max Verstappen on the podium. Thank you very much. 1 point.
You bagged a point.
I got a point for driving through the boxes.
You did. You absolutely did. So that means your gap now is 12 points clear with 7 weekends to go. But 3 of those are sprints. So I've got some opportunities to try and close back in. You never know. I genuinely now, maybe I'm just getting hyped up because it's Baku and we're just going to see McLaren sweep the rest of the year. But I think we could be into some fascinating results.
I really want Max to get close enough to just be a nuisance. I would love it.
No, I don't.
I would love it if he beats them.
Not for the script. Not for the script. Race rating, it was pretty dull, wasn't it, to be honest?
Yeah, but we had some interesting people in interesting positions, so I'll go a 6.
Oh, I was going to give it a 5, I think.
It's better than Monza. Didn't we give Monza a 5.5?
Yeah, I'm still going with a 5.
Fair.
I'm going to say 5. I'm going to stick with it. Have we got anything else to add, Jamie?
I need to
think
go.
we've rattled through everything we needed to. Jamie needs to go. Thank you all, as always, so much for listening. If you have enjoyed, please do make sure you drop us a sub, drop us a follow, all that good stuff. And we will maybe be back later on this week then if we do a special Mercedes episode.